An iterative development approach is a change-driven approach. It develops the project deliverable by continually refining and improving it in systematically repeated cycles, known as iterations, until the optimal deliverable is created. The deliverable is gradually enhanced with each successive iteration as more information becomes available and as more feedback is received. An iteration refers to a time-boxed period used to produce a valuable outcome. In the iterative approach, the desired end result is typically known from the early phases of the project. However, the details on how to get there are unknown. Progressive elaboration is commonly used in the iterative approach, which is an iterative process that involves continuously improving and detailing project requirements, plans, schedules, and costs as new, more detailed information becomes available. To illustrate a project using an iterative approach, imagine that a project team is designing a new high-technology product, a rocket, let's say. In this scenario, the desired end state of the product is known. However, the project team needs to figure out how to get there. As there are lots of uncertainties about how the rocket will be built, the project team builds a prototype and continuously analyzes and enhances it in each iteration until the design works. As the prototype is built, it is tested and analyzed. In the next iteration, as more information is discovered and feedback is received, the prototype is enhanced and the product will again be tested and analyzed. This cycle of iterations gradually improves the product until the desired end state is achieved. In the iterative approach, the work to be completed in each iteration is planned in detail at the beginning of that iteration. Future work is planned only at a high level, as there is not yet enough information to make detailed plans. In such projects, it is typically difficult to predict how many iterations it will take to create a successful project deliverable from the early phases of the project. As the future work is subject to change, the project costs and schedules are also. However, based on the change-driven nature of the iterative approach, changes can be easily incorporated into the project at each iteration, unlike the predictive approach. Because of the unknown requirements in projects using change-driven approaches, gathering frequent feedback is critical. Constant collaboration between key project stakeholders is required to determine the project's future. This is unlike the predictive approach, which details requirements defined up front, reducing the need for constant collaboration between the key stakeholders. In iterative approaches, project teams generally plan a single delivery of the final product. Once the desired final deliverable is created, the project is completed. However, some project teams may also plan multiple product releases. If possible, a basic version of the product, a minimum viable product or MVP, can be released to customers to generate early revenue and maximize the return on investment. New features may be successfully created in future iterations and added to the product. A minimum viable product, MVP, is a basic version of a product with just enough features necessary to test the product in the market and collect feedback from early customers to shape the future of the product. With that being said, let's take a look at the ultimate tips for exam success. If a question describes a scenario in which the team needs multiple trials and experiments to create the desired project deliverable, the iterative development approach would be the best option. Progressive elaboration is an important project management technique to know for the exam. For projects using the iterative approach, progressive elaboration is the key technique. It is an iterative process that involves continuously improving and detailing the project requirements, plans, schedules, and costs as more information becomes available. Consider a question that describes a product development project where the project team needs to build a prototype to continuously analyze and enhance its performance until the design works. In such a scenario, The iterative approach can be used in the prototyping phase. Once all the requirements are defined, the predictive approach can be used to build the actual product. The resulting path would be an example of a hybrid approach, which will be discussed in later sections. Some people think that no detailed planning takes place in the iterative or agile projects, which is not true. Regardless of the development approach used, no project can be successful without effective planning. It is the timing of planning that varies based on the approach. In the iterative approach, the work to be completed in each iteration is planned in detail at the beginning of that iteration. Future work is planned only at a high level, as there is not yet enough information to make detailed plans. Consider a question that asks what the project manager should do if there are unexpected changes in a project using the iterative approach. Due to the change-driven nature of the iterative approach, changes can be easily incorporated into the project at the end of each iteration without any problems. A serious downside to this is that costs and schedules will change as well. An important responsibility of the project manager is to maximize value created by the project. If a question asks how to realize value early, consider planning multiple product releases and aim to release a basic version of the product to generate early revenue. However, note that this approach may not be possible in some projects using the iterative approach, and planning a single delivery of the final product at the end of the project may be the only way to go. By creating a minimum viable product, MVP, the product can be tested in the market and feedback can be collected from early customers. This approach also reduces investment risks. In the worst case, a failed small step is less expensive than a failed big step. Progressive elaboration is an important project management technique to know for the exam.